Welcome back, one and all, to the Chaos Protocol. We are Transplanar RPG. We are an all-transgender, people of color-led, dark fantasy, actual play, TTRPG channel, telling stories set in an original, non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. And what that means is, of course, we stand against genocide and ethnic cleansing and support all oppressed peoples of the world struggling against injustice, imperialism, and colonization. Our voices are not just for our stories and for our fiction. So free DRC, free Sudan, and free Palestine. And now let's get chaotic. So as you have noticed here, we have returned to our regularly scheduled programming. We are co-streaming tonight on Twitch and YouTube at Transplanar RPG and on my TikTok at by Connie Chong. If you're watching this right here, right now, you are seeing the live recording of Arc 2 episodes 23 and 24. And now please allow me to introduce my fantabulous incredible cast, starting with Valiant Dorian.
Hello everyone, my name is Valiant Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns. You can find me all on the internet at Valiant Dorian or at also Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure I just say you on. And tonight I have the distinct pleasure of playing your favorite fiery little meow meow Sayir, who uses he, they pronouns. And I'm going to pass it over to the dad of the hour, Kai.
Oh gosh. Hi everybody, I'm Kai. I use he, they, and she pronouns. You can find me everywhere as Estelle of Imladris. And tonight I'm so excited to be back playing Mr. Zan and who uses he, him pronouns. I'm gonna bounce it on over to the beautiful singular Sam.
Aw, you're so sweet, Kai. Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Star. I use she, they, and the occasional they pronouns. You can find me all across the internet at Lust for Life X. And tonight I have my most favorite specialist pleasure of playing everyone's favorite top, Lumira, who uses she, her pronouns.
And
The
we
boss?
love Lumira for that. It's me, the boss. What might say the top of the stream? Do I get to have that? Yes? No?
I'll give it to you.
Thank you. Put your votes in chat. So to start off announcements, a massive thank you to our sponsors for Arc 2, Explain Trade, Chepeku, Hero Forge, and Undying Corruption. Check them out. If just looking at them on Google, searching them up on Google helps us during the stream because it shows that we can drive traffic over to them when we stream. So Chepeku is an incredible company that creates unique, imaginative, and outlandish TTRPG maps you won't find anywhere else on their Patreon, starting as low as $5 a month. Undying Corruption is a TTRPG adventure book set in Tangguk, which is an original mythical adventure series based on Korean mythology and published by Nine Heavens Press, which is a team of primarily Korean and Asian diasporic creators, of which I am one. I have written on Undying Corruption, and I can attest firsthand to how incredible they are. And finally, a big thank you to Dimitri Opines over at Explain Trade for believing in us and our mission now and always. So use !sponsors in the Twitch chat if you're on Twitch to get a full list of our supporters for this stream, or go to transplanarrpg.com or click the link in my bio if you're on TikTok or YouTube to learn more about our stream, what it's all about, our values, and our supporters. I'm going to pass things over to Val.
Hello everybody, we'd also like to take a moment to thank our Patreon precepts. These are folks pledged the highest tier on our Patreon. Thank you so much to Alex, Astrid, The Bow System, Cassidy, Charles, Cora Eckert, Derek Davidson, Firestar, Jordan, Lyle and Peanut, Mark J, Phil, Rose, Spencer, and Taylor for supporting the second arc of Chaos. Use Patreon in chat to learn more about our rewards and get access to some truly devious behind-the-scenes content.
If you're enjoying the Chaos Protocol, please consider donating and leaving us a tip. All tips go towards us as performers and will also be used to support our incredible mod team. Every time you donate $15 or more, you'll be entered into a raffle to win a very special dice set from Dispel Dice. Does the set that Connie had remind you of anyone? Chosen someone, perhaps? Use !donate in chat and toss a coin to the Twilight Guard.
Last time on the Chaos Protocol, Strike Team Nova meets with the great sage Hop Ching. Together, they undergo the trials of the mist, facing their own challenges with the help of their elder. Having passed the challenges and revealed their hearts, Jiao Cheng opens the river gourd, and all the gods are returned to the city of heaven. And that's what you missed last time. Use !recap in chat to read our full written recap document.
That's right, that's if you're in the Twitch chat. Otherwise, go to bit.ly/chaos recap. The C and the R are capitalized to reach that recap document at any time. So, as we hop right into the session, a reminder, the Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. So content warnings for this particular session may include fantasy violence, grief, trauma, depictions of heights, visions, romance, references to sex, ghosts, memory loss, complex relationships, alcohol and substance use, and mentions of cannibalism, snakes, and death of loved ones and family. So if you're in the Twitch chat, use !CW to take a look at our content warnings at any time. The title of tonight's episode is The Mist Spills Out, Its Breath Restored, from Carved Inside an Empty Urn by Connie Chong. We open on white, a seething, roiling ocean of mist, spilling down from the tallest peak of Tiandu Feng. It tumbles past crooked pines, past startled herons, past ancient granite and glistening rivers and fragrant magnolias. The mist crashes onto the city of heaven, and it rushes in a silver tide through darkened chambers, mighty halls, forgotten crevices, arcing bridges, overripe courtyards, every fold, every crenellation, every shadow of the city of heaven awash in luminous fog. The places that the mist touches spawn with life in its wake, ribboning back into existence as though they'd never fallen asleep in the first place, are all the missing gods of the city of heaven. We see bureaucrats rematerializing in the Aesir complex, kneeling in front of their workstations, eyes wide, knocking over ink pots in their shock. We see merchants at the base of the White Forge, back in front of their stalls, stumbling, patting themselves down, and then patting their wares up and down to make sure none are missing. We see librarians and archivists and researchers and scholars in the Vermilion Library standing between stacks, poring over their notes, gasping in joyful surprise as they reappear. We see gamblers and heretics and pleasure seekers in the depths of the Black River, back at tables still laden with unclaimed merits, games of risk and chance mid-play. After 16 calamitous days and 16 calamitous nights without, breath by breath, current by current, divinity finally returns to the Sister Realms. Back on Celestial Peak, the three of you watch as the last of the mist swirls out of the river gourd and surges toward the base of Tiandu Mountain. Even though you are hundreds, if not thousands of meters in the air and dusk is rapidly approaching, you can see, one by one by one by one, the lights of the city of heaven winking open beneath you. Lanterns are being lit, fires are being ignited, the gods are back, and they are making their presence known. But it's not just the gods who are returning to their true forms in the waking world. In the middle of your party, ribbons of mist swirl around Goose. And Goose starts to glow. He levitates off the ground, squawking and honking this entire time, but not out of fear, out of excitement. His entire body turns incandescent, like a sword being forged in divine fire, and then that silhouette elongates, the wings flatten into arms, and when Goose touches back down onto the ground, it is not with webbed feet, but toes. Connected to a leg, connected to hips, a torso, a face. Goose's true form is that of a mortal. No, a god. No, a demon. And Ta is hot. His face is sharp and wolf-like with these piercing, stormy gray eyes. He has long, dark gray hair now shot through with goose feathers. A single horn, the same color as his medium brown skin, protrudes from above his right brow. Tada body is muscular, lean, covered in thick knots of scar tissue, and a set of calligraphical tattoos down his forearms that read, 人生如梦,人死如归. Also, he's naked. This demon looks at his fingers with fascination and familiar relief. And then, still naked, Honk turns toward a literally speechless and beet red Xiaocheng and says in a deep, raspy voice, Xiaocheng, it's me. It's Goose. What?
Oh my god.
Cover yourself. Sayer tosses his robe over to Goose.
You take your only robe off, so you're topless now?
Yep.
We're balancing.
Lumira was gonna be like, wait, hold on, okay, now I'm stuck. I'm stuck between the two. Okay.
Yeah, you're stuck between Sayer and Goose's huge muscle. I can't say milkers. Between these two.
Connie,
And we're back.
please.
Say it. And then say
Anyway,
it.
you offer your robe over to Goose, and he looks at it with such deep interest, and Honk takes it, kind of lifts it up, and then drapes it like a cape over their shoulders, so they're not covering anything. But they do say,
okay.
oh, thank you, I was quite chilly. And my name isn't actually Goose. Though I do have feathers in my hair now, I think they complement my eyes. And the Honk pronouns, they do still feel right. Either way, my true name is Ansha. And now that I have my body back, I can finally act as myself. And Ansha steps towards Xiaocheng, and Ansha gets down on one knee. He takes the courtier's hand in Honks's, and Honk kisses the top of their fingers. And he says with this deep devotion welling in his voice, thank you for taking care of me this past week. Thank you for showing me what true companionship can be, what true care can be. I am yours from now until forever, if you will have me. And as Xiaocheng continues to be speechless, you notice that Hop Ching, amidst all this tomfoolery, has wandered away and is waving his hand in the air as like a clear, this is your problem now kind of motion. So how are the three of you responding to this?
Zainan has watched Ansha just fully unblinking, not fazed by the fact that they're nude, and just kind of is trying to not smile, looking at Xiaocheng's awkward reaction to this profession of devotion, before he kind of like turns and smiles and waves at Hop Ching and looks back to the both of them. So, did you know?
Me? About Goose Ansha? No, I didn't. I had no idea. I thought you were just a goose. And thank you. This is a lot. I appreciate this gesture very much, and I would love to get to know you. And the color starts to fade a little bit. It's still there as Xiaocheng collects themselves and steps back into their role as like courtier, as a political liaison, as someone who knows how to work with other people. They clear their throat and they say with genuine kindness, really, thank you. And please, I'd love to get to know you when you're not a goose. When you're a person, I'd love to get to talk. I have so many questions for you, Ansha. How did you get here? Why are you here in the first place? How did you turn into a goose? You like me? Why? And Ansha rises in a clean, fluid motion, and as they do, robes start lacing into existence around his body. These beautiful, dark, pure black robes shot through with silver embroidery like teardrops of moonlight. And your robe, Sayer, he kind of like picks off of his back like it's a cape, and without looking at you, hands it back to you. Oh, thank you for that. I do know how to make a dramatic appearance. I figured it was worth it after so many long days and nights in a waterfowl form that I have grown to not dislike. Many questions fall from such sweet lips, Xiao Cheng, and I would love to give you all the answers you seek. But I think it would make the most sense to also give those answers to your emperor. They are of intense political urgency. I hope all of you can understand.
Sure. Sayer says as he grabs the robe and is going to attempt to put it back on, but he's still kind of like sheepishly looking away because he did just see Ansha fully in the nude for a while. And once he's fully shaken that off, just pinches the bridge of his nose, trying to piece everything together.
You hear incessant clicking of Lumira's pocket watch. I mean, it is just I'm sorry.
You all right?
I was not listening at all. Can you repeat that?
Ansha smiles and chuckles, kind of a deep rumbling noise, and repeats exactly what Honk said word for word. As Honk does, the last thing to rematerialize on their outfit is a dagger in a sheath. And there's no other way to slice it. It looks cursed. There's kind of like a roving eye gem, like an eye-shaped gem in the pommel with like the gaze flicking left to right in this slitted fashion, and it just emanates bad vibes. But Ansha kind of pats the dagger very lovingly as it comes back into existence and finishes the last thing. The last explanation repeats it back to Lumira. And so it is of deep political urgency.
And I think we also have more to discuss with the Emperor, correct? Now that
There's a lot
everyone's
more.
back.
A few lingering questions, of course.
And a warning.
Most importantly, that.
We're not done yet.
No, we are certainly not. And shh, listen, the assembly drum. And all of you hear it. It sounds like peals of thunder, shaking the air, rising up from underneath you, deep in the city of heaven. From the center of the Hall of Peerless Destiny itself, someone is striking the assembly drum, and the noise can be heard from the lowest rivers of the Black River all the way here to the top of Tiandu Peak. The Emperor is also back and is calling a council meeting, open to all, on the eve of the gods' return. So I think at this point, Xiao Cheng gestures toward an edge of the garden that you've all stepped out into in front of Tiandu Temple, and you see, sure enough, a current of fog extending from this peak of Tiandu Feng all the way down to the city of heaven itself. And the courtier says, "There, a slipstream. We can ride it all the way down to the city."
Ride it. Like,
Yes.
just step on it and slide?
Yes, precisely.
Alright.
Sayer steps forward, and as he does so, he kind of like puts either arm towards Zan and Lumira. It's like, we can do it together.
Lumira pats her cloak really quick just to make sure she has like her first aid kit and like bandages and stuff on her just in case. All right.
Zynon turns, tips his hat to the temple before turning around and directly to Lumira, just almost inaudibly to everybody else. You got us if we fall, right?
Of course.
All right. And he walks forward to Sayre confidently.
I'm sorry.
Not hearing that, obviously, Sayre holds his arms out to grab either of yours, and he holds onto your arms tightly and says, "Don't worry, I won't let go."
And with that, the three of you step off the edge of the peak and into the slipstream. It at first feels like you're falling, and you're like, okay, well, this was not a slipstream. We're just gonna plummet to our deaths here. But then you feel it. The current of the mist itself, rising underneath your bodies, welling upward like a pillar of hot air that only birds and divine beasts that reside in the air can feel, and you brace your bodies against a silver tide, and you glide on lucent heels all the way down to the city of heaven. It's like you're riding a dragon, made of pure mist, like you're soaring past the jagged peaks of mountains, past glimmering lakes, past shining roofs and bridges and gardens, now all bustling with gods, all the way down to the imperial palace and the hall of peerless destiny. And as soon as you arrive, you notice that hundreds of gods have already gathered here. They are clamoring, they are buzzing, they are pushing their way into the throne room. They are desperate for answers, explanations, assurances about the shared whatever they were in being just some sort of nightmare, that all of the terrible occurrences are over, fully in the past. This nightmare, the disappearances, the mist, they want to know that all of these things are taken care of. They want direction from their leader. Your party lands gently in the courtyard just outside the Hall of Peerless Destiny. And as you gather your footing, a couple of nearby gods notice your group's arrival, and all eyes fall on Xiaocheng, and landing next to them, Ansha/Goose, and of course, Yinghe, kind of like a shadow in the folds of another shadow at the very back of your party. Yes, Sayre.
Sayre, as soon as he lands and lets go of Nova's arms, he was whooping the entire way down. I need everyone to know that's very, very important. He was very, very excited. It's been a while since he was flying. And as soon as he does, he turns around, lets one arm out, anticipating Yinghe, and gently pulls Yinghe's wrist closer so that she lands safely.
She kind of lets out a small noise and then steps into rhythm with you.
All right, I will admit that was the most fun I've had in a long time.
Told you flying was fun.
After the death grip on Sayre finally let go after we stopped falling,
there's like a Zidon shaped marks on his arm.
Literally like moon crescents, half moon crescents, indents in your hand. Absolutely.
Sayre was about to learn Zidon's leg strength because he was about to like fully be grappled by Zidon in the air. But then as everything started to get smoother and smoother, he let go. And by the end, he is smiling, and there's an ease when he lands that's like almost like he's floated there and floated before, like a gentleness to the landing. And he just like he lands in a new plane. He just walks forward and looks around and smiles.
I told you I wouldn't let you fall. Don't let us fall.
I trusted you.
I trusted
One of the gods gathered nearby, everyone's eyes are starting to fall on your party now, and one of the gods gathered nearby points and looks shocked. The courtier of four symbols, they're back! Huh, all the missing gods have now returned! And all the other gods by your group, they all start whispering, like some great tension has been lifted. And Xiao Cheng, rather self-consciously, steps forward and gives at first a meek wave to everyone. But then, at a bit of a nudge from Ansha, they gain more confidence, and the wave gets bigger, and they raise their chin. And they address the gathered and growing crowd outside of the hall. Gods of the City of Heaven, it is true. I am returned. However, the answers you seek will fall not from my lips, but from the jaws of the Amethyst Dragon herself. So, let us enter the Hall of Peerless Destiny and hear from our sovereign on high about exactly what has transpired and what still remains to be done. And these words instantly calm and encourage the gods around Xiao Cheng, and you all, in this moment, get a sense of just why Xiao Cheng is the courtier of four symbols, the ambassador between all the gods of the City of Heaven. And on that, Xiao Cheng nods to himself, gives your party an encouraging look, and steps forward to enter the Hall of Peerless Destiny.
This
Sign
seems
in.
rather familiar now, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's nice to have it all in one place.
I don't know. I was kind of getting used to going back and forth between the two. Having it all in one place does make it easier, though.
Everyone in one place means that everyone's here, and only more opportunities for the Amethyst Dragon to be, well, you both know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Zynon is distracted. He pulls his hand out from his robe, and in there, I think maybe for the first time, you see a full pink cherry blossom in the palm of his hand. And he very deftly slides it into the brim of his hat. Everything can be in one place. Let's go.
And on that, the three of you, Strike Team Nova, follow Xiao Cheng into the hall. And the hall, in the waking world, the real world, the world not of illusions, but still a world of mist, is exactly as the three of you left it. But now it's full of life. You see huge vaulted ceilings, pillars of pure jade, a pool of glittering amethyst water, that throne of red sandalwood looming at the top of an elevated dais, and gods, real gods in their actual bodies everywhere, filling this hall. Even though it's the size of multiple town squares, it feels packed to the gills. And here, amongst all of the gods, you see the four symbols. Standing at the very front of the assembly. They are at the base of the throne, their backs turned to the entrance, backs turned to you, and they are apparently waiting very patiently for their leader to arrive, as she always does, with a flourish of magic upon that throne. So where do the three of you move to stand as you wait for Longdu's arrival?
Seir is unsettled in the wake of his entire being wrenched out of emotional repression. He's adjusting, and I think it's obvious. His lion-like tail swishes with anticipation, with anxiety, as he paces around. He's probably stood along the steps of before we enter the proper Hall of Peerless Destiny. He's just pacing around there, hoping to lay eyes on the Amethyst Dragon as soon as Ta arrives, so that the guard dog can maybe lower the area of opportunity, because this mission's not over yet, and this is the only thing I know how to do.
So you're kind of taking a perimeter watch?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about Zynon?
I think Zynon is following closely behind Xiao Cheng, just kind of protective, keeping his eyes open for what really actually caused all of this, the thing that Xiao Cheng was genuinely afraid of, to see if anyone is acting strange or if something steps out of place, he's ready. So just like Seir, Zynon is guarding Xiao Cheng.
Yes, as you move next to Xiaocheng, Ansha also follows them, and the other gods seem unnerved by the demon. They can sense that Ansha is not of the city of heaven based on kind of how Honk holds Honk's self, kind of like the lackadaisical curve, kind of like the wolfish grin, and the magic emanating from him feels different from the regular kinds of magic that gods practice in the city. So gods here are giving them a wide berth, but no one's directly interrogating him because he's accompanied by Xiaocheng. And as for Ansha, he flirts. He gives winks. He gives like a kind of purr, a little roar, a little growl towards some of the onlookers to kind of challenge them almost. And most of them kind of look scandalized and gasp and peel away, but others are blushing and they seem a bit enamored.
Good
What
to know
about-
that you're the
sorry, go
same as good to know you're the same as a full person as you were as a goose.
Oh, you like what you see, Zion?
Who wouldn't?
Well, just talking and flirting and looking is fine, but I'm afraid my heart is claimed.
Absolutely, and you've bitten me one too many times, and not in a fun way.
Oh, yes. Speaking of which, do you have any more treats in those
Yeah, of
robes
course.
yours?
Zaida just like fully has more stuff because he's just been slipping him stuff this whole time. So
Yeah, Ansha takes a few. I think it'd be hilarious if it's bird feed, and now Ansha has a taste for it. Like takes a few handfuls of grain and like pops them into his mouth like sunflower seeds, and we push over to Lumira.
I think once Lumira finally got her bearings, that was so much at once. I think she ends up slipping back into her agent mode. So when she sees Sayir and Zynon break off and start doing a perimeter check, Lumira stays close to the back, her eyes moving across the ceilings, across the pillars, high up, looking for anything off. Looking at everyone around as well too, quite literally just bouncing her eyes from one side of the room to the other, looking for anything malevolent.
Yeah, so I'll give this to Sayir as well, because both of you are kind of scanning the area. You don't notice anything immediately malevolent or suspicious, but you do overhear snatches of gossip, of rumors, multiple different copses and clutches of gods talking about the gods that had gone missing. Obviously, Xiaocheng is now back. Everyone's pointing at them, very relieved the courtier has returned. But you also hear strands of conversation about Hireping, how when Hireping also returned alongside the other gods, appeared very rough, exhausted, a bit battered, and isn't here. She's being taken care of by her wife. And the missing sisters as well are currently resting in a healing temple, not too far from the Black River, to be by the healing waters of a nearby bathhouse. So they're also absent from this assembly, but they have been accounted for. They have returned. That is something you do notice, and it's less malevolent, more hopeful. And as each of you settle into your various places in the hall, with Zynon kind of at the front of the pack of all of you, that's when all of you feel a sensation, like the string of a guqin being plucked, a familiar sensation, and magic emanates from the throne, and then folding into existence like a prayer paper being undone is Emperor Longdu. Her long, flowing amethyst robes blend in with the striations of her hair, and her dark eyes fix upon the gathered gods. Their face is unreadable, as always, but there is an edge of pride to their jaw, an inflection of hope. And something about Longdu to the three of you feels even bigger than every other time you've seen her, because now she's real. It's like she is actually emanating a pressure that causes the gods to all stop talking and inhale in respect. And when Longdu's gaze falls upon Xiaocheng, it softens for just a touch, just a fraction of a second, and then their eyes return to the hall. And every single god moves in harmony to convey their respects. They bow their heads, they steeple their fists. Even Ansha, a demon from the underworld, inclines his chin. And Xiao Cheng's bow is deep, deeper than anyone else's in this hall. And by the time everyone looks back up, the courtier of four symbols has turned around and is addressing the crowd and all of you. Their orange eyes are brimming with tears of joy, tears of relief at finally being reunited with their beloved emperor. All welcome the immortal Emperor Long Du, devourer of the devouring, grand adjudicator of the game, sovereign on high of Yaolan, the amethyst dragon. And then the emperor speaks. Gods of the city, the catastrophes of the mist are over. The monsters are gone, and all of our missing gods, Haiping, Mingyu, Weijun, and Xiaocheng, have returned. We have struggled. We have been frightened, preyed on, sealed off from the waking world. But that is no longer the case. Now is a time for celebration. Tomorrow at dawn, I shall announce my virtue, and together we shall usher in a new age of prosperity and peace. A massive cheer swells from the gathered gods, the tension, the anxiety, the miasma of fear that has held the gods hostage is finally lifting, and a sense of relief and jubilation is pouring through the hall. And with the tiniest of smiles, Long Du raises a hand to quiet the cheering and says, Go. Enjoy your evenings. Set your fireworks. Hawk your wares. Spend time with your family and with your friends. And in the morning, prepare yourselves for the dawn of a new era. In the meantime, symbols, cultivators, a word. And the gods start streaming out. They're still cheering, they're still laughing, they're slinging arms around each other, they're talking excitedly about the proclamation that is finally to come. And the only people who remain behind are the four symbols, Xiaocheng, Ansha, Yinghe, and the three of you. And as soon as the last god trickles out of the hall, Long Du turns their stately eyes toward this now empty chamber and lands their gaze on your party. And they stand. They descend the elevated dais, levitating just a few inches off the floor until they land on equal footing with all of you in front of the throne. They take 2 steps forward, and then they hug Xiaocheng. And Xiaocheng's eyes widen with shock, and then kind of embarrassment, and then relief, happiness, comfort. And Xiaocheng hugs the emperor back. They squeeze her tightly, and then they quickly let go, remembering their place and where they are and who's around them. But Long Du holds them just a touch longer, a genuine and deep parental affection warming their expression. Xiaocheng, I was worried about you. I'm glad to see you're safe. Thank you, Emperor. I was worried about you too. But these 3 esteemed cultivators were instrumental in helping me understand what happened and why, and it was all my fault. The mist, the river gourd. I was scared, I was anxious, I just wanted things to stay the same. I didn't know I would put everyone into some kind of inescapable, terrible nightmare. But then we found the sage, just like you asked, and we opened the gourd, and now everyone's back. But there's something else you need to know, something very pressing and urgent, something actually all of you in here should know. It's the reason I stole the river gourd in the first place. Before the mist descended, I kept having the same recurring nightmare, an omen. I had a vision of someone assassinating the emperor. And the first person to respond is not the emperor, it's Zhiling, who immediately steps forward and says, "What? Who?" I don't know. The visions weren't clear. I thought peering into the river gourd would give me answers, but then well, you kind of know what happened after that. What I do know, based on what these cultivators have been telling me and investigating about, is whoever has been plotting against you, Emperor, is likely the same person who corrupted the mist from inside the gourd. Which means, when the Great Sage helped us to release everyone, this would-be assassin also got released. And at this point, Nova, is there anything else you say to chime in, or see how the symbols are responding, or suss out the situation?
Zynon was watching the symbols' faces. Concerned, of course, about the Emperor's reaction, but he's not really worried about Ta. They're taken care of. They have Xiao Cheng. The symbols each have their motivation, and he's more watching how they take the information, whether it is new to them or anything like that.
What about Sayer and Lumira?
I would like to investigate, if at all possible.
Okay.
Yeah, I think much more like how Zynon was doing, watching everyone's faces. Lumira is watching body language. So it's kind of like, I imagine she is watching for hitches of breath, beads of sweat, thumping of a pulse against their neck, something along the lines of that could indicate any type of spike in heart rate, or familiarity with anything that's being said.
Sounds good. What about Sayer?
Sayer actually chimes in. He knows that Nova is probably observing the symbols, so he pipes up and says, Emperor, I know you called for a celebration, but amongst the crowd, amongst celebrating peoples, that's the optimum time for a shadow to lay in wait, for a hunter to hide amidst the crowd to find opportunities. Tonight is likely going to be dangerous, and we need to ensure your safety.
While you say that, Sayer, Zynon and Lumira, both of you roll investigate for me. And tell me what tags you're invoking.
I haven't done this in so long. Let me get my little back.
Exciting.
Let me get my
your
little back real quick.
tags.
Yeah, we're absolutely going to use diagnoses.
Mm-hmm.
And I also want to use threading the journey and powerful presence. However, what I will do is I will inflict fatigued on myself, as well as doesn't understand this power. So plus
That's
one.
a net one. Okay. Make sure you mark attention on the themes that you're invoking your weakness tags on. What about you, Zynon?
Zynon is using survivalist.
Okay.
You know, having to look and see how people react to bad news. A student of those before, because he's learned to read people from certain people, and in the same vein, resourceful criminal.
Okay. I'm going to invoke the status Drained 2. You're still pretty exhausted, I think, from all the ordeals, so that is a net 1, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Lumira, what did you get?
I got an 8.
Okay, what about you, Zynon?
10.
Excellent.
Let's
Let's do you
fucking
first,
go.
Lumira. So on a 7 to 9, I will describe the general ambiance and any prominent features your trained senses notice. Yes, all 4 symbols here react with shock at the revelation that there's like an assassin lurking in your midst. They are all very concerned and shocked, and they all seem to affect it with your 8 very genuinely. So you're not sure if one of them is like just secretly the assassin and really good at pretending, or if they're all just genuinely shocked and had no idea that this was happening and this was the case. Based on their body language, you do hear like elevated pulses and intakes of breath, but nothing that would suggest a tell or anything like they're lying or masking something. Zynon, with your 10, I will describe an additional crucial detail even a skilled sleuth might miss. It is actually from Long Du, in response to what Sayir is saying. A small smile quirks the side of their mouth as Sayir suggests that the coronation would be like the best time for someone to attack them and try to kill them. And they respond directly to Sayir. And then I'll give you the hidden emotion that would be difficult to pick up after. Long Du says, "You are right, of course, Sayir. That for anyone else, the cover of a crowd, the cover of celebration, the cover of drink and merriment would be a massive boon, a massive advantage to carrying out these dark intentions. But the one advantage the assassin had was the element of surprise. Now even that has been stripped from them. Knowledge is power. Knowing something alters its very nature, changes the flow of the river of fate. This assassin will not catch me off guard. Now that I know they are coming, I will be able to defend myself and make an example out of they who wish to strike the sun."
Thayer responds in a husher tone, intending only for the Emperor to hear, but if I'm sure keener senses might still pick this up. "Even from a knife that hides close?"
The Emperor's eyes fall on each of their symbols, on Xiaocheng, and they respond to you in a full voice everyone can hear. "I trust those I keep close. And besides, even if a close knife decided to strike against me, I am the most powerful being in all the Sister Realms. Many have tried to kill me in many ways, even ones I've trusted. And every single one of them have failed. I say this not to dismiss your very clearly proven abilities, but there is nothing any of you can do for me that I cannot already do for myself. Thank you for telling me. That by itself is enough." And the Emperor seems completely confident, like completely assured of this. Zynon, with your 10+, perhaps a touch overconfident. On that, I think it's Drooling that interrupts this contemplative silence and says, "Before we go any further, I think there's a pretty obvious suspect in our midst. The demon?" And Ansha smiles at that, and he steps forward with his hands on his hips. "Ah, yes, I was wondering when someone would bring my presence up, oh gentlewoman scholar. 4 symbols of the city. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance, though I do wish it were under slightly bloodier circumstances. I am Ansha Uamo, the demon of assassinations." And Drooling's blade is conjured on fire and pointed at Ansha's throat before he can even finish a sentence. At that, how are the three of you reacting?
Zayden steps forward.
So I like to think that Zayden and Sayer both step forward from either direction.
Yeah.
Wait.
Toward Drooling to stop her, or toward Ansha to
between.
interrogate him? Okay.
Yeah, to stop.
Hold on.
Drooling.
Let's not throw accusations around just yet. Yes?
If I wanted to, his head would be separated from his shoulders. I would break the edict of the game, strike you down where you stand, and take my own punishment straight on the face if it meant protecting the Emperor.
Zhiling. And Lumira places her hand in the middle of Drilling's chest, looking at her directly in her face. More information first. Yes. Knowledge is power. This we both agree on.
Knowledge is power.
Exactly.
And she lowers the blade, but she keeps it unsheathed, ready to strike at a moment's notice by her side. Ansha blinks, giggles in amusement, rubs the place where the blade left a thin mark against his neck of fire and blood, but holds the gentlewoman scholar's gaze, accepting this challenge implicit in her gesture. Well, you know, despite my title, I'm not here to kill the Emperor. Well, okay, technically I was, but not anymore. There's been a traitor in your midst much longer than these past 16 days. You know, they've been in communication with our Queen of the Underworld herself. Unfortunately, only she knows their true identity. You see, my queen has been fomenting a plot for quite some time to kill her sister up here and claim the throne of heaven. But the opportunity to do so has never quite arisen until the night of your proclamation. Such an order presents a gap in your armor. And so my queen personally selected me to assist the traitor in their task, given my area of clear expertise. I was able to sneak past your celestial defenses with an extremely clever disguise. A disguise that none of you arrogant gods would be able to parse until it was too late. A disguise that would allow me to get close to the throne, as close as possible, until the night I was needed. Xiao Cheng gasps. And says at the same time as you, a goose! You caught wind of my royal banquet preparations. You took the place of that goose. And Truling snorts. I'm sorry, did you say goose? Yes, I turned into a goose. It's nothing to laugh at. The goose is the most evil, treacherous, vile, and dangerous of waterfowl, and I enjoyed every minute I got to inhabit its draconian mind. Twinzing chimes in at this juncture. What happened after you turned into a goose and infiltrated the city of heaven? I was told by my queen to wait for the traitor to contact me. In the meantime, I was to lay low, get my bearings. But then the mist came, and it took the magic that empowered my disguise, and without it, I became trapped as a goose, with no way to contact my queen, or even to return to the underworld as the courtier of four symbols, so delicately sealed the gates. And so began the 16 days and 16 nights of deepest woe. But the woe changed. It blossomed. It transformed into something I did not expect. I saw the courtier in their darkest moments, and they saw me in mine. And still, they cared about me, and I grew to care about them. Xiao Cheng, I never felt more alive these past 16 days that I spent with you. I like you more than I like the underworld. I like you more than I even like killing. I like you more than I fear my queen. I really didn't care whether or not the Emperor lived or died until I saw how much they meant to you. So, as long as Xiao Cheng lives and breathes, I will spend every second of my immortality ensuring that they are happy. Drooling says, completely unmoved by this, looking rather disgusted by the end, Langhui. And Langhui says, unfortunately, Drooling, Honk is telling the truth. Every word out of Honk's mouth has been honest. And Langhui unfolds the arm they'd been keeping tucked behind their back this entire time, and all of you see strands of ink-black magic lace themselves back into the shadowy tips of their fingers, and an after-image of a glowing eye sizzles out of sizzles out of existence behind Ansha. And Ansha grins at Langhui. Do you really think I'd lie in the face of your truth-seeing eye? Your reputation precedes you, Heavenly Liaison. You know, we never crossed paths in the underworld when you were still a demon, but people talk, you know. So, you were supposed to meet with this traitor, but they didn't get to make contact because the mist came and took everyone. That's right. And that's all the information I have. Promise. Cross my heart.
Sayer clears his throat, I think shares a look between the members of Nova, hearing all of that. And he just says, at Ansha, not even a description, build, a code, anything to meet up with
Means
this
of
so-called
contact.
traitor. Yeah.
Nope. I was just told to show up here, be a goose, and wait for contact. Apparently, the traitor has been in communication with the underworld for quite some time, years, even. They've got their own motivations for doing what they want to do. I assume it's power, or maybe they're bored, I don't know. Maybe they like killing too, just like me. But whoever they are, whatever they're motivated by, these details elude me. Only my queen knows their identity. You know, she really has it out for you, Emperor. And Longdu, who has quietly taken this in this entire time, glances at Ansha, doesn't even look at them in any sort of smoldering or intense way, but something in the hard edge of their eyes causes this kind of lackadaisical, confident, a touch arrogant demon to shrink a little. I meant no offense by that, of course. Of course.
Zainan has been watching Langhui basically since Ansha started talking about the connection with the assassin, the underworld, and has just been watching them, not trying to study them, but more just making sure that people aren't shooting them dirty looks. Doesn't think that Langhui would act in this particular manner, partly just because Ta is really scary and would find a more clever and less direct way to go about doing this. But Zainan worries genuinely about if Langhui is feeling perhaps suspected.
If Langhui is feeling suspected or scrutinized, this certainly doesn't show on their very calm and unemotional face. And the people in this room, at least, Chunjing, Lu Hua, Zhiling, Xiaocheng, even Yin He, even the Emperor aren't looking at Langhui with suspicion. Some of the other gods of the city might, but the four symbols are quite close. They seem to know each other very well. And even Zhiling, with whom Langhui has had, I would say, some fictitious clashes with in the past, she isn't looking at this gambler, this heavenly liaison, with suspicion or pressure. Chunjing crosses their arms and flicks one of the beads of their abacus back and forth. They're kind of wondering out loud to themselves. 10,842 gods in the city of heaven. 3 cultivators, 1 demon, 1... And their voice catches as they look at Yin He. Demigod. And 1 traitor. And they go back to just counting all the possibilities under their breath.
With all due respect, Ansha, it seems, are you sure you're queen? Thinks you're up for the task?
Oh, my queen does not make mistakes. No. And she suffers no errors. Well, the cauldron of boiling needles would certainly, pinprick that out of you. And yes, I was personally selected for this task. Not for necessarily my loyalty, but for my capabilities. I've always been loyal to the underworld. Don't think that I'm some willy-nilly that it will just flip sides at the drop of a coin. These feelings I have for Xiaocheng and for the kindness that they've shown me are quite unprecedented. I've never really experienced anything like that down there in the underworld. I've never really cared about anything other than killing up until this point, and I don't think my queen expected that to happen. You know, strange twist of fate, let's say.
I never once doubted your feelings for the courtier, nor your loyalty to your queen. I just find it very interesting that you got thrown into this without any semblance of who it is that you're supposed to meet with, not a code, not anything in particular. You were just supposed to wait. And maybe I'm biased, but I typically... When you are leading an army, you tend to give directions, even vague ones. Just go doesn't ring any flags to you?
Well, technically my directions were go and wait. Queen Sigu
Like
is
that makes
many
it better.
things. She is exacting, she is unforgiving, she is powerful, she is commanding. Trusting? No. Something about a betrayal at the hands of someone she once believed in plays her cards very close to her chest.
Did you have something?
It doesn't surprise me that perhaps there's some animosity there, given the story we've been told. But I am wondering what the motivation might be, and I have some thoughts. It's been it's not news to me, but I think for now, each of you, and he looks to the symbols specifically, should remember the loyalty you've sworn.
Of course. And this is Drooling turning to look at you with a burning gaze. I pursue power. I pursue knowledge. But the one thing I would never sacrifice in pursuit of my goals is my loyalty to the Emperor, and everything she means to me means to the entire city. So I hope you don't mean to imply that I am the traitor, Zainan.
Not at all. Oh, divine scholar, I would never.
Lang Hui speaks up after that, with a still inscrutable expression, but the white snake around their shoulders is moving and flicking their tongue in and out, almost in an anxious fashion, like they're thinking very deeply, and their animal companion is the one relaying those emotions instead of their actual body. I can understand why some in our midst might suspect me. After all, aside from the literal demon in the room, I am the one with the most connections to the underworld, both in terms of my past and in terms of my role as heavenly liaison. But I assure all of you, I am a person of efficiency and reason. I would stand to lose so much more if the Emperor were gone than to gain anything from it at all. And I have no vendetta against our immortal dragon. The Emperor has always been fair to me, has never judged me, like others in their court might have, for being part of the underworld once. My loyalties are firm. And Chunxing says, I faltered once in the mist. I will not falter again. My heart lies with the Aesir complex, with my work here. I would not jeopardize it for anything. And Lu Hua says, I kind of just got here, youngest symbol and all, but I love the city. It's my home. I would do anything to protect the Emperor, to protect my friends, the other symbols. I wouldn't call us friends necessarily. I would. And I'd do anything to protect Shrizyang, the Forge Master, the White Forge, everything we've built together, everything we've made, all the communities we've built. So, I know it's kind of a lot to ask you to just trust me when I say I'm not the traitor, but I promise you I'm not.
No.
I love the city, and I would do anything to protect it.
No. I trust you.
Lu Hua looks not like shocked at this, but blinks surprised, and a smile of gratitude and appreciation blossoms across their lips. Thank you, Seer. Thank you. Your vouch means a lot.
It's not you. I know it isn't. But accusations and implications aside, Simon did not mean to imply any of you. But the fact remains that all of our guards must be up. Whomever this traitor is, they fear nothing. That's one thing that's come for certain. Just to meet the demon out in the open on a promise of betrayal to work with the Queen of the Underworld. This is someone who has nothing to lose. And that alone should give us cause to fear them.
Added to that, we are unsure of who, what, or where. An invisible threat, which we know it looms is dangerous, heightens the stakes.
And the Emperor... Sorry, go ahead, Zion.
Zion just sort of looks back to the Emperor, but if you're as certain that you'll be alright as you think you are, nothing to worry about. Just looking to catch someone who wants to disturb the peace of the city.
Your help is much appreciated and invaluable. My thanks to the three of you and to my four symbols. But even an invisible threat is no problem for me. No magic can hide someone who carries killing intent toward me. So thank you all for rendering a great service to the City of Heaven. You have restored the gods to our rightful places. You have calmed the seething tides of the mist. All of you have earned rest and celebration. So go, enjoy the night, indulge, make merry, all of you. And stay on guard if you feel you must. But please, take some time to recuperate and enjoy yourselves.
Thank you.
And that is when the first of the fireworks goes off. So beyond the open gates of the Hall of Peerless Destiny, you see pyrotechnics streaking upward toward a darkening sky. They are erupting into chrysanthemum blooms of color. News of the Emperor's edict has spread across the entire City of Heaven, and the gods are beginning to celebrate. But it's not the gods or even the fireworks that draws your party's attention. It is the four battered but satisfied cultivators standing in the doorway of the Hall of Peerless Destiny. We see a slight, gray-skinned person with short, blunted hair and a pair of ram's horns. We also see a tall, masculine woman with black hair shaved on the sides, scaled armor befitting a Yaolan military general, and piercing emerald eyes. We see a dark-skinned person with long, now golden braids, a set of celestial robes, and an arm made of pure gilded bone. And finally, of course, we see a man with dark skin, a single horn, and paper sutras attached to a rope belt. And your oracle swishes into existence with a citrusy poof and says,
Oh, hello! Strike Team Nova! Strike Team Phoenix is here, and their oracle is pinging me a lot. It's kind of making me buzz off the hook. It's kind of annoying. So they want to let me know to tell you they want to find you. They want to talk to you. So what should I say in response? Should I leave a voicemail, like a voice message? Is it a little too late because they're already here? So like, what's the play here?
You are
Zion goes
absolutely
running.
too late.
Zion,
spare
you
me.
run forward, leaving the oracle in your wake, and you approach Strike Team Phoenix.
Lumira
Hello.
slowly makes her way over.
Sayer
What about you, Sayer?
grumpily.
Yeah.
Sayer grumpily makes his way over and just mutters under his breath, "Fate spare me, fate spare me, fate relieve me from this torment."
Your oracle bobs along after you and says,
Oh, well, last one lagging behind. Fate can't spare you from being an outcast, now can she?
The four symbols, the four symbols, Xiaocheng and Longdu, all look startled when the oracle appears, like even more startled than seeing the four cultivators at the door of the hall. But then they cock their heads as you go off to greet Strike Team Phoenix, and they all look rough. There's really no other way to put it. They look bruised, they look beat up, they look haggard. Their beautiful armor and robes are stained with dirt. They're covered in bruises and cuts, but they're okay. They're on their 2 feet, and they're exhausted, but there is a sense of satisfaction leaning over all of them, as well as a little bit of uncertainty. Right? And we see this uncertainty play out, especially across Naim's face, as he steps forward to greet you, Zion. Zion,
Naim.
it's good to see you, that you are alive.
You look like you've all been through it.
We have. And Cove is the one who chimes in, crossing her arms across her considerable, very muscular chest. You don't know the half of it, old man.
I did see a glimpse of it. You're all right though.
Yes.
And Zion actually
yes.
fully looks over each of them very thoroughly.
Yeah, no deadly, vitally, pressing wounds. They just look like kind of beat up and exhausted, but they're good. They're fine. They're okay.
That was a lot down there.
Naim lets out a quick exhale and a nod. Their eyes flutter shut for a moment as though remembering the everything down on Yaolan. Like, this team went through a whole journey as well. They went through some shit, their own quests with challenges and emotional obstacles and whatnot. And then when they open their eyes, their gaze actually settles on the Emperor at the other end of the hall. And they say very quickly to Strike Team Nova, "A moment for us to introduce ourselves to the people here." Grand Adjudicator of the game. The 4 of us are humble cultivators who have been assisting the people of the Cradle in dealing with the calamities that descended upon Yaolan when the gods, as far as we could ascertain, went missing. But now the gods are back, and the Cradle is once again in good hands. So we are here to reunite with our old companions and partake in the celebration, if you will allow us. And Emperor Longdu raises her gaze, looks appraisingly over Strike Team Phoenix, and just as with the same look that she had given your party, you get the sense that she knows Naim isn't telling the full truth, can get the sense that maybe Phoenix isn't from here, just like the 3 of you, but doesn't comment on it. Of course. Any friends of Zan and Lumira and Sayer are friends of this city. Please, make yourselves at home. And if you would enjoy a private place to catch up, the courtyards of the 4 gates beyond the Hall of Peerless Destiny have plenty of shaded areas and secluded gardens. And Naim bows deeply, and so do the rest of Strike Team Phoenix, and raises their head. Thank you. Your immortality. We will be taking advantage of such amenities. Phoenix? And Naim turns and starts to step out of the hall, expecting Nova to follow.
Zion's right behind them.
God, can you stop being a bottom for like 2 minutes?
I'd like to
Absolutely
think.
2 minutes.
You're like
I
a
like to
puppet
think
dog.
Lumira and Sayer are both like walking at pace with each other.
Quite literally. I
Both
think you
furrowed
probably
brows,
find-
grumpy.
I think you find Lumira is also under her breath, like, fate, just get me through this night. This one night. Just this one night. Just please, fate. I've never asked for anything up until this moment right now.
The three of you follow Strike Team Phoenix out into the garden beyond the Hall of Peerless Destiny, and Naim is able to find a secluded area, a little courtyard where the group of you won't be disturbed. Yinghe also trails alongside your party, but Xiao Cheng and Ansha stay behind to kind of catch up with each other, talk to the Emperor. And in this courtyard, there are tall, lonesome trees with leaves that dangle like crystal teardrops. You smell the sweet fragrance of heavenly fruits, and there are these low stone footbridges arcing over these glimmering silver streams. And there are celestial beasts, heavenly animals. They're grazing on nearby strands of emerald grass. And you see these floating, big, potato-shaped creatures with tiny wings, this bright red skin, and no face and no tail, except for a very pronounced little butt on one end. And you also see these single cow-like creatures, with turquoise scales and deep lowing moos. And they're hopping from like one hoofed leg to another as they graze. And you also see two-headed geese wandering around this courtyard, honking and honking. Naim turns to face your group as you stand under the shade of a hawthorn tree. Strike Team Nova, it is good to see the three of you. I trust things have been well up here in the City of Heaven, given that the gods have finally returned.
They weren't well.
It was a trial, but we got it completed.
And another one awaits.
Another trial. And at that, Ash actually casts a knowing look at the rest of Strike Team Phoenix. And Amaru, who this entire time has looked at Sayer, has looked at Zainan, has not looked at Lumira, has been acting like Lumira literally doesn't exist. Like, if he has to look in Lumira's direction, he looks past her. Does not acknowledge her, like she's a ghost.
It's not like the feeling ain't mutual.
At least I'm not a problem.
Amaru says, kind of twirling this long, beautiful golden lance between his arms and letting it rest across their shoulders. Ash had a gut instinct that once we were done with, our mission, which we aced, with flying colors down on the cradle, maybe the three of you could use some help. Maybe we could assist you with whatever it is that you need to finish cleaning up here. And Ash gives Amaru a kind of like peaked look and signs in Syndicate sign language back at Amaru. We didn't receive a mission complete when we were done. We had no idea what else to do. And then Ash turns back to your group and addresses your group. So I suggested we meet up with your party, with Strike Team Nova, so we could join forces. Not to assist you, but because we had no other orders.
Well, if I may, what was your mission?
Naim heaves a deep, long-suffering sigh. It was to simply help. Help this mortal cultivator on Yaolan by the name of Tiansheng. She ended up being a interesting figure, well-intentioned. And Cove cuts in, I liked her. And Naim goes on and says, that's besides the point. She's a fine person, trustworthy, interesting is all. Obviously, we could not continue with our mission once we realized that the disasters were being caused by the absence of the gods, and we were cut off from accessing the godly realm. So we had to trust your group after enacting the Eurydice Protocol and communicating with Hand Lucy.
We
But
did
now
the
the realms
same
are
with
linked.
Artemis.
So we heard. So we heard. The realms are linked now. We decided to come up here, as Ash mentioned, because though we have finished our mission, we haven't received a mission complete.
Neither have we.
And I think an uncertain, unsettling feeling falls over this courtyard, punctuated only by the low moos and the sound of grazing celestial animals.
Thayer looks over to the two members of Nova with a gaze that can only translate to, guess we gotta tell them. There's an eye roll that's punctuating that communication that's made just with his eyes.
Zan just nods back to Seer.
There's a threat on the life of the Emperor.
A sharp look falls over all of Strike Team Phoenix. Naim says, "Tell us everything." And do you?
Yeah.
Lumira, you're muted.
Of course I am. Lumira recounts verbatim. Photo perfect.
So everything about the Great Sage, everything about Xiao Cheng's nightmare, and everything it could mean, the plot of the assassination, the Emperor's response to it, and the Four Symbols' response to it, all the way up until this point. And Strike Team Phoenix takes in everything, every detail, every word, and a kind of solemn look falls over all of them. But then Amaru lets out a kind of confident smile across their chiseled jaw, and Z says, "Stopping the assassination of the most powerful god in the Sister Realms. Now how hard could that be?" And we're gonna cut to break there. So we'll be back in just about 10 minutes. We love you all so much. Enjoy the fan art reel if you're in the Twitch or YouTube chat. Shpijo bijo, see you in 10. If you're like me and you enjoy narratively driven, theater of the mind style tabletop campaigns, then check out Cheipeku Scenes. Cheipeku Scenes are hand-painted, intricately detailed backdrops that will deepen immersion, establish mood, and take your campaign to the next level. They even have a commercial license for fellow creators just like me. I've been using Cheipeku Scenes on the Chaos Protocol, my own streamed tabletop campaign, and the animated backdrops add so much depth and engagement for my players and the viewers. Plus, all of Cheipeku's scenes match perfectly with their battle maps. So if you're fighting a wizard on the edge of a waterfall, you can switch seamlessly between map and scene to convey the full majesty of your encounter. Chei and Peku are a couple who love to make maps, creating unique and outlandish scenes you won't find anywhere else. And as one of the top RPG creators on Patreon, they've got the imagination to match yours. For only $5 per scene, you'll unlock every variation, plus a license for commercial use. For $10 per scene, you'll get access to animated scenes, as well as Alchemy RPG and Foundry VTT modules. But here's the kicker, patrons of any tier get free access to Cheipeku's entire backlog. You're only charged for new scenes that they release 4 to 5 times a month. I can personally attest to just how incredible these scenes are in terms of quality, consistency, and immersion. So head on over to cheipeku.com to browse their entire backlog and pledge to their Patreon today. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this very special Arc 2 episode of The Chaos Protocol, right here, right now on Transplanar RPG. Just some reminders of content warnings before we head right back into the session. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain some content that is triggering for some viewers. So content warnings for this session may include fantasy violence, grief, trauma, depictions of heights, visions, romance, references to sex, ghosts, memory loss, complex relationships, alcohol and substance use, and mentions of cannibalism, snakes, and death of loved ones and family. So if you're in the Twitch chat, you can use !CW at any time to take a look at these content warnings. And as a reminder, we are also sponsored for Arc 2 by Cheipeku, an incredible company who, if you stuck around during the break, you saw my very cute little sponsor Connie moment about it. They create unique, imaginative, and outlandish TTRPG maps you won't find anywhere else on their Patreon, starting at only $5 a month. So use !Cheipeku in chat if you're on Twitch to check them out, or go to bit.ly/Cheipeku with the C capitalized. Clicks to that through our special little link help us, and they cost you nothing. So just click on it and check them out. So with that out of the way, let's get right back into the session. Say what you want about the gods. They know how to throw a party. All across the city of heaven, we see scenes of bustling festivity. We see acrobats maneuvering massive, intricate lion puppets, dancing side by side with actual stone lions come to life, the sound of their purrs like a valley of rocks grinding together. We see taverns bursting with patrons. We see gods drinking and singing and smoking and eating and dancing, their laughter flowing as freely as the canals and rivers of the city. And for once, it's not just the gods of the Black River who are indulging. Every single deity in every single corner of the city is letting loose. They're venting all of the fear and anxiety and grief of these past 16 days into celebration, into joy. Bright red lanterns festoon the curling eaves of roofs, shedding a sanguine light over mist-swaddled streets. But the mist here isn't corrupted. It is as it should be, a light sheen of magic over everything. It's not just the gods who are released from the river gourd and liberated from their worst nightmares. The mist, too, was freed. And now Misty gets to play. Gets to be herself again, away from the corrupting influence of that still unseen but deeply felt assassin. Strike Team Nova. Amidst these scenes of celebration, I want to know where we find the three of you, starting with Sayer.
Sayer is off in a corner somewhere. He is deeply overwhelmed by everybody here. Has probably a couple people tripped on his tail because it's been swinging wildly from anxiety a little bit. And right now he's in some southern quadrant of the main sort of like thoroughfare and is nursing a drink in his hand and leaning against a pillar, just scanning through all the faces of celebrating gods. And he just remembers another party like this aboard a pirate ship with his best friend. But he can't really party right now. He can't do that. And instead, he just scans through the crowd like a guard dog, looking for any sign of suspicion, any sign of an assassin, a hunter hiding amidst the celebration. And as he just nurses it, he just mumbles to himself as he takes a little sip. You would have really liked this one, huh, Bussy?
Sayer, as you lean against this pillar, drink your drink, survey the crowd, on high alert, not letting yourself fully celebrate and indulge, keeping your senses sharp because you know of the danger that is to come, you sense familiar movement to your left, and as the crowd thins again and a troupe of lion dancers pass through the street, you see, to your deep annoyance, Cove. Also leaning against a pillar, also sipping from a drink, also surveying the crowd with sharp eyes. And I think the two of you see each other at the same time. You like kind of lock eyes. And she looks annoyed that you're doing the same thing that she's doing.
Thayer looks over at Cove, and there's a thought crosses his mind of not saying anything, but that feels worse. So instead, he just retorts at her. Cove, I wonder why all the mythical beasts has suddenly stopped calling.
Oh yeah? Is it because you killed them all, you freak?
No, I released them from the mist that trapped them. You know, doing my job.
Oh, and that'll be the first time that happened.
Look, I am here on duty, and you should
Yes, so am
also be on duty. Well,
I
this
am.
area doesn't need two pair of eyes, now does it?
Yeah, so why don't you go check on the northern perimeter, because I've got the south locked down.
No, you go and take the northern quadrant
No,
and
you
deal with
go
it
take
there.
the northern quadrant.
No, you do.
Deal. You go there. I'm not going. I'm staying here.
And Sayer just like downs his drink and puts it at the bottom of the
She does
pillar
the
and says-
exact same thing. She like downs it as well.
He chucks it down. He chucks his drink onto the end of the pillar and just says, "Fine, but you better keep your eyes down here locked, because I'm not failing this mission on your account."
I've never failed a mission, for your information, unlike you. So why don't you go slink off to the northern perimeter? Maybe you'll finally be good for something there.
And Sayer like looks at Cove up and down and thinks about how good it would feel to rip another one into her, but stops. Remember your fucking mission, Cove. Don't get distracted. And storms off.
Do you remember yours? Yeah, got the last word. And I think as you try not to argue with Cove and you slink off toward the northern perimeter, you realize that your shadow, Sayer, has slipped away from you now. And we find your shadow approaching the Time Mage. So where are you when Yinghe finds you, Lumira?
I think Lumira was in the midst of celebrating. She's probably somewhere near Zhiling and dancing, more than likely, just trying to have a good time until I feel them.
Okay, let's say we find you in like a tavern, right? Where there's like a central area that's been cleared out, and there are instrumentalists and a singer and a drummer, most importantly, right? Playing music that's shaking the walls as people are in the middle, just like doing some sort of like folk group dance, right? And maybe if you've been indulging or imbibing, perhaps your cheeks are flushed from the drink, right? There's a lot of merrymaking here, right? A lot of merits are flowing, drink is flowing, good conversation, good food. You're in the middle of dancing. And Zhiling is here too. She's surrounded by people who want to get on her dance card. It's been a little difficult to get close to her, but this entire night, you and Zhiling have kind of been playing a little bit like you've been orbiting each other, like not yet, because you want to like spend the perfect moment together and not like do it too early or do it too late. And it's amidst this orbit, in between numbers, in between songs, where you're kind of catching your breath a little, that you feel instead of see or hear her first, Yinghe's presence. It's always kind of like a pressure drop behind you and a coldness, a shadow. And Yinghe rises out of a pool of darkness by your feet and says, "Hi, Lumira."
Do you have to continuously just make your presence known? Or
Oh.
just sneak up on people?
Sorry, should I knock next time?
And Lumira just kind of pinches the bridge of her nose and takes a deep breath. Can I help you, Yinghe?
Yes, actually, I wanted to say something, ask something. And as they speak, the next number starts up again, and the two of you are still on the dance floor. So if you're not dancing, you're gonna start getting like bumped into each other. So you can either do something about that or sit down.
Lumira will absolutely turn to go off the dance floor.
Okay, yeah, he follows you without a second thought, and you can't even imagine dancing or moving their body in a way that isn't ominous. So you go off to a corner, and a nice private corner where you can have a talk. And Yinke says, I actually wanted to talk to you about Sayur. It's just, he's not doing well, and he won't really open up or talk to me, but I think he'll maybe talk to you. No, I know he'll talk to you if you just reached out to him. So, do you think you could do that, maybe?
Sayur has never spoken. Ever. As long as I have known them. With all due respect, Yinghe, you cannot tell me about someone that I have known all of my life. He will speak when he is ready. And I'm not prying.
Oh.
Is that what you want?
No. No, that was not necessarily what I wanted, but I think it was maybe what I needed to hear. Because you're right. You do know Sayur much better, much longer than I know Sayur. And maybe it isn't really my place to speak here. And I'm not trying to tell you what to do necessarily. I'm talking to you because I would like to get to know you. Because I respect you a lot, Lumira. And I respect what you're capable of. I respect all of you a lot. I still remember when you all showed up in my temple, and I would like to be a part of something like that someday. Because I've never been. I would like to help you, maybe your team, the way that you've helped me, to repay that debt. But I am sorry for overstepping. I only did it because I care.
Lumira kind of softens at that a bit. She's no longer standing defensively, but her shoulders slump a little bit. And she gazes at Yinghe, looking them up and down and back up again until she's looking them directly in their eyes. I know that you care. I see that. And when she says that, her eyes sharpen a bit in Yinghe's direction. So, here's what'll happen. You are more than welcome to help us, to come along for the ride. But I don't ever want to hear you say that you are repaying a debt to us. Okay? We're not repaying a debt. We did what we do. That is our job. We help you, you help us.
Yinke blinks at you, Lumira. Their silver eyes, for a moment, surprised, and then they sparkle like stars in a night sky. They look at you with wide eyes and they say, "Cool. You're so cool, Lumira."
Thank you. Are you okay?
Yes. Okay, bye. And Yinke turns and starts to step away, but then remembers something. They turn around and they knock on the wooden table between the two of you.
You don't have to announce your departure. This is not a date.
Okay. Understood. Bye, everyone. And they say that at the room, as a whole, but no one hears them because their voice is so small. And then they turn around and they start to like sink back into the shadows. But before they do, they nearly collide with Lang Hui, who is also in this tavern, who's stepping away from a private moment that they were having with Zhiling. While you were talking with Yinghe, Lang Hui, and Zhiling were talking in another corner, and the Heavenly Liaison's white snake hisses in alarm and annoyance at Yinghe, who is like apologizing profusely, and they kind of like sinks into the shadows. And Lang Hui looks at this pool of darkness before they exit the tavern, and we follow Lang Hui as they leave and lay their eyes on the person they actually want to see, Zan and Esh. Zainan, what are you doing as the Heavenly Liaison falls into step beside you?
I think Zainan has stepped away from Phoenix and they've all dispersed. And he took a private moment before coming to a table full of food. And as Lang Hui finds him, he has a rice ball in one hand and a bun in the other, and he's definitely taken a bite out of both. And he's just chewing.
Zan and Ash.
Long way.
No, finish your food. I can wait.
I'll be eating a while.
Okay, fine, then I'll make this snappy. I wanted to say thank you. And the words fall out of their mouth a bit begrudgingly, but genuinely.
No thanks needed.
I had a feeling you would say that, which is so irritating of you. Just take the thank you.
I accept, then.
I am no fool. I know that it was only through your help and the help of your team that we gods were able to return to the City of Heaven. So, I give thanks, and I recognize debts where they are due.
The only debt that we have to you is Sayre's.
And a heavy
that was
one.
a dream.
Well, we can debate the legal boundaries of owed merits in dreamscapes versus reality at a later date. But stay. And the snake has been kind of wiggling forward toward the bun
A baby.
in your hand, like the tongue flicking in and out this entire time. But then kind of coils back a little disappointed at Lang Hui's command. Do you feed the snake?
I think Zainan, because he's like, this is not my snake. I don't know if this is a divine snake. I don't know. He's not going to offer his hand to a snake he doesn't know.
Yeah. True. Very smart. You are good with animals. Yeah. Lang Hui breathes in. I have to admit, I'm very annoyed at the courtier of four symbols for getting us into this mess in the first place. But they are a younger god. They made a foolish mistake. Let their fears get the better of them. We've all been there.
They made a bold choice to fix something that, let's be honest, is important. They didn't know who to trust.
Well, I know the feeling of that. Everywhere I look, I see celebration and celebration. The Emperor is confident in her power, and I don't doubt it. But... And you see a darkness and a passion light up in Lang Hui's eyes, a passion you've not seen really before, as the next words come out of their mouth. I hate that this traitor made me feel so powerless. I will win the seat of virtue, so I will have the power to punish this traitor to my exact demands. And even if I am not chosen to be virtue, I'll do it anyway.
I can see the merit of revenge. Just be careful. Your last words shouldn't be threatening someone else. They should be your own.
Speaking of last words, and their eyes flick above your head. Slow, lazy interest back down at you. It's interesting. My gift, my curse, enables me to see the last words of every person around me but myself. When I peer into the still surface of a mirror, I see nothing but listlessness. I've not felt this kind of passion, drive for anything in a very long time. Perhaps forever. So maybe I do have the traitor to thank for that.
Protecting those you care about is a very worthy cause.
Would you like to know your last words, Zan and Ash?
I don't know anyone's meant to.
Fair enough. You carry yourself differently now, Zainan. Less skittish, more sure. That's a nice flower you have in the brim of your hat.
I've just learned where the ghosts actually are. And where they belong.
Last we spoke, you told me that you feel the weight of an entire world lost. I may not know that weight, but I am a god. I am immortal. I have lost everyone in the mortal world that I have ever cared about. I have outlived my parents, my little brother, all of my nieces, all of my nephews. I, too, am surrounded by ghosts, but I would much rather be haunted by them than to forget them.
I'm learning that.
Last words are important, Zan and Ash, but don't forget the weight of the ones we wield now. Oh, I think he's waiting for you. And Longhui looks in the direction of that hawthorn tree from that secluded garden you were in earlier, and you see Naim standing in the shadows.
Thank you. Long way. I wish you whatever fate might bring when the Emperor makes their choice.
And I wish you peace. In time. Oh,
Never enough.
I think as you start to go off, Longhui says, almost as an afterthought, and as an amendment to our dreaming gamble, my bed is extremely soft.
Zan just smiles as he walks away.
And Longhui's eyes follow you and then land on Naim as you approach Naim, and Longhui's gaze flickers above Naim's head and sees their last words. Longhui's eyes widen slightly in surprise, and then looks at Zainan. Back at the last words, back at Naim. And Naim, as you approach Zainan, doesn't quite smile, but they do push off of the trunk of the hawthorn tree, and there is something close to softness on their face. They've cleaned up after the talk. They no longer look battered and thrown from like the peak of a mountain, cast down upon many jagged, biting rocks. Their robes are patched, they're no longer visibly bruised, but there is still a sense of tiredness, but satisfaction and relief in how they hold themselves. And they wait for you to say the first word.
Zainan has eaten more of the food as he's walked over, and is like sucking the food. He's clearly he's tired, he's hungry. It's been a long time for him too. And he walks over to Naim, and the relief keeps on bringing a smile to his face. This is everything that he's been working towards, and there's a freedom. Even though he felt so overwrought by the grief he experienced to bring all of this about. There's a freedom to having learned to speak to it. And he's suddenly not afraid of the conversation that he clearly needs to have with Naim, that probably, maybe not at a party, but he offers this smile. It's a little shy, but there is an eagerness as he walks over, looks Naim up and down. You look better.
So do you.
Well, it's not every day that we get to see each other out.
No, very rarely, if ever, on mission. What was the last time? 7 years ago?
Too long.
Maybe just long enough.
I don't know, I like seeing you in your element.
I just mean, distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Some things never leave, no matter how far away you get.
No. That's the tricky thing about those things, isn't it?
I'm sorry how we left things. We don't have to do that right now. But I think I ought to start by just saying I was wrong.
You know me, Zainan. You know, I care less about the apology than I do about growth, change. And for what it's worth, Zainan, you look different from the last time I saw you. Obviously, your outfit is altered, given the magical limitations of this plane. But you know what I mean.
I forgot to listen to my own advice to anyone. I remembered here because of them. I don't think I was ready to come on this mission.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Didn't matter. Fate willed it. And as with all things, I trust in her will.
As do I. Zan, I've only ever wanted, in these recent months, really two things from you. One was for you to look after Lumira. And based on what I saw today, based on how you've been handling all the conflicts here in the City of Heaven, seems you have been. In your own way, a little bit.
She's incredible.
Isn't she? She's something else.
She certainly is that.
Hells, she could run her own department one day.
Easily. Good luck stopping her. You were right. About her and I.
It's
And we're both
nice
as
to
stubborn
hear.
as the other. We're both
Sorry,
as
go ahead,
stubborn
finish
as
your
the
thought.
other. And it takes the most precious thing to get there. Time.
But it's worth it, Zan. It took a long time for her to start opening up to me as well when she was on Phoenix. And even then, I don't think I got to know her half as well as you know her now, even though you've only had her half the time. She sees something in you, Zan. The same thing I do. Because we're both smart. We're both intuitive. The other thing, Zan, that I've only ever wanted from you was for you to just face something, anything, behind that closed door of yours, out in the open. And maybe I'm seeing things, but I have a feeling I'm not. There's something about the way you hold yourself now in this place that makes me think maybe you've started to do that.
I thought, well, the last mission, when I learned how to touch the ghosts, how to see them, how to speak with them. Felt like drowning. Like being buried. I didn't see it for what it actually was. Wouldn't you give anything to talk to your loved ones again?
I would. Anything.
It was never a curse. Being buried under all that, I just needed to learn to listen. Which, you know, that is not my best skill.
No, it is not. You are many things, but perhaps chief amongst them, a stubborn son of a bitch.
Now,
But
don't
they
be
say
too
it with a
kind.
smile. Come, Zion. Look up. Look up with me.
Zion pulls his hat back and looks up, steals a quick glance to Naim, and sees the stars in Naim's eyes.
And Naim looks up at the stars as well. Their dark skin lit up in a glow of celestial light. And they sense your eyes on them. They look back at you, silhouetted by starlight. And they say with a soft look on their face that you've not seen in many months, perhaps even in years. You've grown more in 2 Mayday missions than 2 decades, Zai.
Sometimes you gotta walk out in the world.
Yes, that we do. And they start to breathe in, and you think one thing's gonna come out of their mouth. The softness, the sweetness, the sense of, not that the rift has been mended, but you're getting closer. The distance is closing. And then Naim says, something's off, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Mission. You know.
I know you too well. It's not settled yet. There's something in your teeth, Zion. What is it?
I have a theory, and I don't like it.
And Naim turns fully to look at you. Tell me what I have to do.
I have a suspicion I have since the first fight we had in the mist. I've been asking myself over and over again, who would benefit from this? First I thought from all the gods going missing, but then I remembered the virtue. And now to know that it was an assassination on top of all of that. There's one person you haven't met yet that, well, the Forge Master has been evasive, elusive, and I keep on thinking about what I wouldn't do for the person that I care most about. Lu Hua was a spark made by their hammer.
I see. Let's go talk to her.
Just a quick conversation.
Yes, just a quick discussion. No accusations. We're just there to gather information, ascertain her true motives. It'll be fast.
Also,
See
the
what we can
forge is
find.
beautiful.
Oh? And, Naim quirks an eyebrow when you say that. Good. All the more cover to our story, in case anyone notices we're gone.
Yeah.
I mean, we've snuck off plenty of times together before. It's not like anyone will bother us.
That's true.
Lead the way.
It's quite a walk. You've been warned. Simon starts walking.
As you do, Naim, pauses for a few seconds as he take a few steps forward in front of them, and they say, well, good thing I have magic and a flight spell. And they start to, twist their fingers and summon a prayer paper. And on the twist of that paper, we flip to another scene. We find Lumira. Lumira, Several hours have passed. We are well in the thick of the night, well in the depths of celebration, of drinking, of merrymaking. Where do we find you?
I think Lumira is now sitting outside of the tavern. I think she's hot and tipsy and sweaty and flustered. So her hair is like pulled up on top of her head. I think her cloak is not zipped all the way up, but it's like sitting to where it's at her shoulders, just like getting some type of breathing air going in through it. And is nursing another drink, kind of just like lulling back, almost teetering on possibly falling asleep, but also just kind of vibing.
Yeah, you're kind of fanning yourself, vibing, nursing a drink. You just need a second. You like need a breather from the everything, and then also the conversation with Yinghe and all the drinking. You're kind of tipsy. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of stuff happening constantly. There's a lot of stimulation.
Too much. Yeah, it's kind of overwhelming. And then you sense a familiar presence step outside of the tavern at last and step beside you. And Drooling, the gentlewoman scholar, says down to you, "Lumira, have I caught you at a good time?" I was just about to go to sleep, actually.
Sleep?
Maybe. But did you have other plans?
I had something similarly relaxing in mind if you wanted to use a quick breather.
Please. And I think she kind of stumbles her way up just a little bit.
Drooling, helps lift you. She's not gonna let you just kind of, clamber to your full height alone. She raises you with strong and firm arms.
You gotta stop doing that.
Oh? Why is that? Afraid you might like it too much?
Shut up.
Would you like me to carry you to the next destination? Because I don't mind.
Lumira kind of looks up and pouts. Uppies?
All right, brace yourself. And she scoops you up in kind of like in a princess carry in her arms.
I can get used to this.
So could I.
And
And
start something you can't finish.
she chuckles and gives you a sly grin. And Drooling carries you, Lumira, away from the thick of the celebration, using kind of side streets, side paths, curving over stone bridges, all the way down to a private bathhouse in the Black River. And here in this quarter of the City of Heaven, people are still celebrating, but you're reaching a secluded neighborhood where the noise of laughter and music and fireworks is muted. You can still see the bright flowery blooms of firecrackers in the sky, but the sound is less deafening and startling and more just kind of like a peaceful, distant white noise. And Drooling carries you all the way to this beautiful private back room that has this obsidian, pure black stream that flows into a pure black pond, completely undisturbed. And it's open to the sky. It's open to all four elements. And the rocks that surround this bath are glazed with a thin film of ice from this mid-autumn chill. And the stars above your heads are glimmering and infinite and reflected perfectly in this pond. And you see steam, mist, rising from the black surface of this bath. It's the perfect mixture of heat and cold, of water and fire. And she gently deposits you onto your feet.
And Lumira kind of looks up and takes in her surroundings for a second before she looks back at the pool and back at Drooling. And then back at the pool again, here?
Drilling chuckles at your expression and says, "It's a wonderful way to relax, rejuvenate the muscles." And she starts to disrobe. She takes off her outer robe and starts lifting up the tunic underneath.
Lumira chuckles at that and is like, well, it's not nothing you haven't seen already, and starts undressing herself. But she does kind of like, when she gets to her boot, she kind of sits there and looks up at the sky, seeing the brightness of the fireworks and taking in how quiet it is. You know, I love to succeed in a project or a mission, but I think this is the first time I've actually wanted the city quiet.
It's nice to be away from everything, even for a moment, isn't it? I love studying. I love poring through tomes of learning everything I could possibly get my hands on, but sometimes I need a break. You know, rest is crucial to absorbing information.
That's what I keep hearing.
Julian kind of quirks an eyebrow at that, and by this point she approaches the pond and starts slipping into the water and lets out a kind of contented noise, letting it hiss out from her nostrils as she settles all the way down onto an unseen ridge and displays her arms across the icy rocks. And as you start to approach her and those considerable back muscles, you notice that Zhiling is putting herself by water, right? Which is the element that she is the weakest to, as the vermilion bird, as a phoenix embodied in divine flesh. This isn't just an invitation for you to relax and kind of take a load off, though of course that's a crucial part of this. It's a gesture of trust.
Wait. You are... Are you okay in this?
I'll be fine. You know, this bath is quite warm. The rocks are lovely and chill. It'll take a lot more water than this to put me in any danger, but I want you here. It's a nice place for us to have a conversation.
Lumira kind of blushes at that a little bit. And pushes a couple of curls that have fell out of its ponytail back up before she just finally shakes her head and pulls her hair out so her curls just fall around her shoulders again. And instead of stepping into the lake, Lumira dives.
Yeah! And Lumira, as you dive into this very warm, very hot water, right, and you plunge in, you feel relaxation, magical relaxation, and also physical relaxation sink across your body, kind of unclench the tension from your nervous system, from your muscles, as you fall deeper and deeper in a gentle and peaceful way toward the bottom of this pond. And as you do, in this moment, Lumira, you too are vulnerable. You too are open. In a way you've not been in a very long time. And as you plunge beneath the surface, you feel a memory. That's right, Lumira. A memory. Tugging against your hair in a gentle way, against your scalp in a way that feels really comforting. And you realize what it is. You can feel her fingers braiding your hair. One of your mother's. And you can hear a song, muffled by the water, the words lost to you, but the tune of it, the melody of it, seeping deep into the darkest recesses of your soul. One of your mothers is humming you a song and weaving a spell of protection into your braids. A memory of Tungal.
Lumira leans back into that feeling. One, she knows is so special to her, but can't put all of the pieces together. But it is so warm and so calming, so nurturing. She feels it directly to her bones, like that nurture was implanted deep in the very core of who she is. She holds it there until she doesn't feel it anymore.
And Lumira, when you surface for air, the memory doesn't fade. It doesn't run away from you. It's kept there in a very special part of you. And the cold air now is really nice and relieving against your skin. And as air rushes back into your lungs, you realize what it is that has prevented you from accessing Tungal again in the sacred grove. The pieces click together. You have to be open, Lumira. You have to be vulnerable. That's the only way you'll be able to remember more.
I think she realizes that underwater.
Mm.
So when she surfaces, she's crying and she didn't even realize it. And she just wipes her face and gasps. That's it. That's it.
Lumira? Is everything okay? Is the water too hot?
No. And Lumira wipes her face, pulls whatever remnants of her curls that are stuck to her forehead back and over her shoulder before she swims over to Zherling. Kind of settles herself underneath one of her shoulders that's splayed out across the rocks. Everything is fine. Just the way it should be.
Okay. Good. I am fire embodied, but I have to admit, I see why Langhui is drawn to the water. There's something calming about it. Meditative.
Freeing.
Yes. Freeing. Like after I sink myself into these waves and I rise, I can be whoever I want to be.
When I look deep into the water's eye, I see a place I long forgot. Home. And I think I just realized the key right now.
Of course you did. Not in a library, not in the archives, but here. Isn't that the way it goes? Our moments of eureka come when we least expect them, but when we most need them.
I think you're right. And Lumira will grin and then kind of scooch over to sit on Zherling's lap, kind of straddling her a bit and wrapping her arms around her neck. Yeah.
Zherling rests her hands on your waist and pulls you in intimately, looks up into your eyes, and says, I was born from the ashes of a phoenix, slain by an arrogant and cruel god. The very first thing I did when I emerged into this world was kill him. The second thing I did was burn his name from the annals of history as retribution for daring to lay his hands on a holy beast. This was during the devouring, of course. I was a different god then. Angrier, colder. It was how I survived. It was how I rose from ash.
Lumira sits in that before a smirk reaches the corners of her mouth and turns into a smile. If there's anything I think I've ever wanted to do, was hurt anything, anyone that was conducive and complicit in taking everything from me. So I get it. I do the same.
That's part of why I like you so much, Lumira. We share
It's
the
not my
same
dazzling
flame.
personality.
Well, that too, of course, among other aspects of,
Don't
you.
patronize me. I was joking.
I would never. I would never. But yes, that's what I'm starting to realize, actually, Lumira. I've wanted to become virtue since... God, since I could want. Since the position was announced. Since the devouring ended and the Emperor opened up the role. I thought it would bring me closer to the Emperor. Closer to Longdu, being virtue. But now I'm starting to realize that it doesn't matter if I'm virtue or not. As long as I can protect the people I care about. As long as I can protect Longdu.
That's all
I'd
that
be happy.
matters.
Exactly. And you helped me realize that, Lumira. Talking with you, being with you, seeing the cause you fight for, seeing what you care about, has helped me realize that.
Lumira smiles. Her fingers are playing in the hairs at the nape of her neck. I am glad I could be such an inspiration. But don't be fooled. I've learned a lot from you too.
Oh yeah? Well, consider me flattered.
Yeah, you should be.
Oh,
And she
yes,
grins.
of course. Drilling laughs, leans forward, and kisses you. A soft kiss, a chaste kiss. And when she pulls back, there's something in her right hand. A gift for you. And she offers to you an intricate and elegant brush pen, carved from red sandalwood, the same rare material that the Emperor's throne is made out of. And the brush itself is fletched from the fur of a dire wolf. And a golden engraving up the length of that pen resembles the rainbow feather of a phoenix. And the tip of the brush is black with ink. And Drooling says, by way of explanation, "This is an ink pen I crafted myself. Originally, I was going to make an inkstone to go with it, but something you did inspired me. The ashes of the letter you burned in my study are imbued into the ink that darkens the tip of this pen. So as long as you still carry love for your sing, this pen will always hold ink."
Lumira's utterly shocked. I think her eyes glaze over so fast. She can't even stop her eyes from leaking tears. I don't know what... Thank you.
Of course. For you, anything. Just know this. And she folds the pen into your fingers. Fire can burn away empires, but it can never burn away love. Something new will always grow from ash.
Lumira just kisses her.
And Drooling kisses you back. And the two of you spend a very long time in that warm pool. And when it's about time to start to rejoin your strike team, because dawn is starting to maybe approach soon, Drooling pulls herself away from you, the two of you covered in water and sweat in each other's embrace. She looks down at you as she starts to stand. It's about time I start guiding you back to your strike team, yes?
Yeah.
Hold on, I should retcon. She doesn't know you're part of a strike team. Let me say something else. Just soft retcon for the podcast. It's about time I lead you back to your fellow cultivators, yes?
Yeah. And Lumira gets dressed. It's taking her a little bit of a while because she's still kind of,
Mm-hmm.
But she stops and looks up at Zerling again. Wicked smile across her face. How did you know I loved a good pen?
Call it my gentleman's intuition.
Yeah. But she does place the pen in her spell book, clips it to the side of it, and sits at her hip, right next to her pocket watch.
I love that. And Drooling starts shrugging on her robe again, pulling it on, taking her time, right? Because you both know what this is. It's a goodbye. So she's taking her time, relishing it. And as both of you put on your clothes again and kind of dust off the water, she smiles at you and says, I'll look for you in the water, Star Traveler.
That is where you will find me. I look forward to it, and I'll hold you to that.
I'm counting on you to do that. And you can find me in the flame, in the places where passion meets knowledge.
Till then.
Until then. And she offers an arm for you, and then pauses and says, or would you rather I carry you back again?
No. I mean, the gentlewomanly scholar, you have a name to live up to, don't you?
I sure do.
And Lumira will wrap her arm through Zerling's.
And the two of you exit this private bathhouse, leaving footprints in your wake. Footprints that take a long time to fade. Sayer. It's been some time. You've patrolled the northern perimeter ad nauseum at this point.
Mhm.
Where do we find you at this hour?
I think in between the patrolling, he's if Yinghe is around, he would have spoken to Yinghe and caught up. And then a memory flashes across his mind in that he didn't tell Zynon where he was. Zynon does not know that he is indeed in the northern quadrant now, so he looks for him.
Yeah, so you start heading south because you've kind of scoured the northern perimeter pretty thoroughly at this point in search of Zynon. And as you do, you actually are approached by Luhua. And you see they're kind of like surrounded by a bunch of admirers, people who like really enjoy their presence, but they see you amidst the crowd and they kind of like do like a let's put a pin in this kind of motion to their admirers, and they kind of like trot up to you. And they're kind of decorated in a bunch of flowers that people have just put on them to wish them luck, because a lot of people are rooting for them to become virtue. So they're kind of decked out in all kinds of celebratory garlands. Sayre, hi.
Hey, Luhua, hi. I didn't. And he gestures over to like probably a crowd of disappointed people. I didn't mean to take you away.
Oh no,
am I
it's fine. It's
interrupting?
fine. No, not at all. Not at all. Honestly, it kind of feels like the flower garlands are a little unending at this point, so not an interruption whatsoever. In fact, quite a welcome reprieve. But please don't tell them I said that.
Your secret's safe with me.
I just wanted to catch up with you and thank you, obviously, for all the help that you've rendered the symbols, the Emperor, the entire City of Heaven, and also just to check in on you. See how you're doing.
No thanks necessary. Friends don't keep scores, so don't worry about that. And as Luhua could probably notice that as he's speaking to Luhua, he keeps kind of like panning his gaze around looking for Zainan, and then says, I'm alright. Have you seen Zainan around?
Zainan? No, I haven't actually. But I'm sure he's around here somewhere in the crowd. There's a lot to do. Celebration night.
I know it's the fact that there's a lot to do that leaves me concerned, actually. I just want to make sure everyone's okay.
You're acting a little different from the last few times I've seen you. It's I don't know, it feels realer?
Well, I haven't really been myself for a while.
Yeah? What do you mean?
And I think there's a moment where his bright blue eyes catch on Luhua's, and he stares at Ta for a while. You're just like her.
Just like who?
Sorry,
No, you can tell me. I'm honestly kind of dying to know.
You're a lot like my sister.
You have a sister?
I do. I suppose I didn't tell you. She's my twin.
What? And a twin? There's two of you? Is she here?
No. She passed 2 months ago.
My condolences.
They appreciate it. You just remind me so much of her. They're both so bright, and she too would be covered in garlands. They'd be hounded by hordes of admirers, and he gestures to the group that's still probably hovering not too far away from us. It's uncanny, and he trails off, staring at how Luha looks at him. There's a familiarity. Maybe he's just looking for one in that look.
Oh. Well, I'm very honored that I could remind you of someone that you love so much. And I have to admit, I am the youngest symbol, and in many respects, I'm quite a young god. I've not known what it's like to lose someone I care about yet. But my mentor, the Forge Master, knows it. She calls it the bitter sting of grief. She doesn't really like talking about it. But from what I can tell, if you can see your sister in me, maybe that means you can see your sister in other places too. Other people. And I hope that brings you comfort. I hope you see her in the flowers I wear. I hope you see her in the spark of the White Forge. I hope you see her in the friends you came with. Zan and Lumira. And I hope that brings you comfort.
I see her everywhere. I carry her with me. Like a tattoo. Like a scar. The most precious scar I have. As his tips of his fingers reach towards the corners of his birthmark, his tattoo. And before, maybe it would bring me more pain, more bitterness, but I see now that she would have wanted different from me. Maybe. The pain doesn't go, it's still there, but maybe there's a different way I can take this journey.
That's really beautiful, Seer. Maybe you should be a poet.
No. I'm no good with words. All
I don't
that
think that's
stuff you
true.
saw, all the stuff you saw before with me. Yeah, no, that's not really me. That was
Well,
me.
you're much better with words now.
Thanks. Thank you. It's been a while since I've felt like myself. That's all.
Well, thank you. And Luhua clasps your hands in theirs, suddenly, looking deeply into your eyes. Thank you for sharing who you are with me. It makes me feel like maybe I could be brave enough to be who I really am, even if I'm not entirely sure what that is yet.
I was just going to ask, what does that look like? Even
And they
you
let
feel
go
so...
of your hands. Yeah, in like a dramatic kind of fashion. With like a big, deep sigh, looking out. But it's not in like a despairing way, but rather a hopeful and an excited way. You know, I don't know. And I think that's the kind of beautiful part of all of this. For the longest time, I just did what the Forge Master told me to do. You know, because what else was I supposed to do? I love the Forge Master. They're like my parent. And they've always steered me in the right direction. They've guided me into a candidate for virtue, into one of the 4 symbols. But seeing you like this, and all of the help that you and your team have rendered the city, being heroes, being not even gods, but cultivators, and doing all of everything you did, it makes me think that maybe the Forge Master would be proud of me if I chose my own path. Even though, again, I really don't know what that path is. Maybe I want to be a hero like you. Or maybe I'll just continue to be a blacksmith, but I'll make stuff other than weapons too. Maybe I'll make shields. Or pottery.
A very, very wise young woman once told me that maybe that the journey's part of the fun too. Not all the answers is like solving a big mystery. And you can be that mystery that you unravel yourself.
Oh,
I know she'd love that.
that sounds exciting, actually. That sounds really, really exciting. And you know what? Even though I've got all these garlands and all these people wishing me success, I kind of have a gut feeling I'm not going to get picked for virtue. And I think,
Why'd you
maybe
say
a couple
that?
weeks ago. I don't know, it's just a gut feeling, you know? Maybe it's a gut feeling, or maybe it's just me deep down not wanting to be virtue. I don't know, am I allowed to say that? A few weeks ago, I would have been devastated at the prospect, but now I think I'm okay with it. And you know what? Either way, I'm excited to give the Emperor that sword I've been working on that I showed you and Zion. Because
Yeah.
I think it would be a really great way to close this chapter of my life. You know, the Forge Master's Apprentice, one of the four symbols. And then the next chapter of my life titled, I don't know yet, but I'm figuring it out. The journey to figuring it out. How about that? That's a nice chapter title.
Is that your way of telling me that you're about to give up blacksmithing and go into authorship?
Maybe that's what I should do. Maybe I'll just poke around, see what's up. Maybe I'll talk to Zhiling and see if she can give me any pointers about my life path. Ooh, or Chunxing. Though I know exactly what Chunxing would say. They would say that I definitely don't have the aptitude or the focus to be an administrator. But other than that, I don't know. World's my oyster. So I've decided I don't want to use this old thing. And they gesture toward the sword, which is strapped to their back. It's wrapped in silk. They're just kind of like carrying it this whole time. You hadn't noticed it because it was covered in flowers, but now they point it out and like a few petals fall. All I know is I don't want this thing to be a bribe anymore. So I'm not going to give it to the Emperor before they name their virtue. I'm going to give it to them after.
What if you get chosen, though?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it'll be my thank you gift then? And we'll get off on really good terms?
I think that's a good idea. I think...
Hey!
Hmm?
Go ahead,
I
finish your thought.
I don't think a spirit like yours could ever be dimmed by anything. And you should listen to that. And I'm sure the Forge Master will give you their utmost support.
Aw, thanks, Sayir. That's so sweet of you. And they kind of like punch you in the shoulder, but it kind of like they're really strong and they were unaware of it and they kind of sock you. Whoops, sorry. But hey, you know what? Speaking of thank you presents, I want to make you something. Yeah, I want to make you something.
You already helped me with patience and violence. It's all right. You don't. Again, friends don't keep score. You don't have to thank me
it's
for
not
it.
about keeping score. I want to give you something because, you know, you told me everything about your sister. And you know what? After the coronation, why don't you come by the forge? Because I want to make something for you that you can remember her by.
That would be really nice. Do you think my fellow cultivators could come too?
Yeah, heck yeah, that sounds like a ton of fun. Invite them all. We'll throw a party. I'll have to let the Forge Master know, though, because they're very strict about the maximum capacity of the Forge not exceeding 4 people, you know, for like,
Of course.
you know, safety code violations and whatnot. But I'm sure she can make an exception.
That would be really nice. I don't even know how to thank you for that.
Friends don't keep score.
It's really nice to talk about her. Thank you.
Of course. I'd be honored to learn more about her, and I'm sure you'll have plenty of opportunities to talk about her with your friends, too.
Yeah. Yeah, we will. Yeah, we must. You're right.
Good. Well, I should be going. I'm seeing that my little, my group of very wonderful followers and admirers, they're looking a little antsy, so I'm gonna go right now, but I'll see you later. I'll see you at the coronation, okay?
I'll see you there, and be careful with them. They look like they're about to mob you in a second.
Oh, don't worry. I've been fending them off since I can remember being a god. All right, bye. See you later. Bye. And Luqua waves goodbye to you and is immediately swarmed by gods seeking their attention. And while that happens, go ahead.
And there goes.
They're whisked away into the crowd, and you're able to get back to kind of scanning the perimeter, looking for Zynon. And instead of Zynon, you see Lumira in the crowd, kind of arm in arm with Zhiling coming up from the Black River. Both of them look immaculate, like their skin has just undergone like a spa treatment. And just a little tired, just a little spent. You also see the other 4 symbols kind of just all around the space with various folk either diverting attention away from them, in the case of Langhui, or glomming them and trying to get in like the last bits of schmoozing before a virtue is announced. You see Ash lighting fireworks, a very big firework, actually. You see Amaru chatting with Cove at the other end of this courtyard, and you even see the Emperor many steps up past like a landing deep inside the Hall of Peerless Destiny, watching everything from upon her sandalwood throne. But there are 3 people that you do not see, Sayer. You do not see Naim, you do not see Zainan, and you do not see Shriziang, the Forge Master.
Sayer's unsettled even more. Now 3 veterans, 3 senior people of authority are all gone. And I think immediately... he's gonna I fucking hate that I have to do this. He's gonna go up to Cove.
Okay, you go up to Cove where Cove is chatting with Amaru. As soon as you arrive, Cove and Amaru stop talking. Amaru raises his eyebrows, has less of a bone to pick with you, but is friends with Cove. So kind of like closes ranks around Cove, squares off, looks at you. Cove crosses her arms. What do you want?
Hendrix. Cove. Have you seen Naim or Zainan anywhere?
Oh, Naim and Zainan are missing? Wow, I wonder what they could be doing.
You don't think... Seriously? Right now?
Oh my god, hands of fate, Seer. I'm not gonna go off and find them. Are you kidding me? They're probably hate fucking in a temple somewhere. You wanna interrupt that, huh?
Sayer just scoffs and like places a hand around fistfuls of his hair in frustration. Fuck. Fine. No, you're... Wish you'd tell us at least, so I didn't have to go searching. Everything fine here?
Yeah, everything's fine. Go back to your northern perimeter.
Soon. And he hovers his gaze over at Lumira. If Zainan's not here, then Nova needs to consolidate. So he huffs forward towards where Lumira is.
As you start to walk away from Amaru and Cove kind of just like mutters under her breath. Yeah, definitely hate fucking. And speaking of Zainan and Naim, we cut to the 2 of you panting, sweating a little exerted. And then finally you crest the top of the White Forge and you land in front of the furnace, where we see Naim's sutra papers kind of fluttering offward. They definitely helped a lot. They had a spell of flight that carried the 2 of you here all the way in a third of the time that it would have taken on foot, but it still took a lot of physical exertion to kind of like glide through the air and then land up here, and then the 2 of you deposit yourselves on the rock. Oh, I think you're muted, Kai.
I am. All right. I'm very tired of mountains.
Naim gives you a quizzical look. I thought you liked the great outdoors.
I do. I haven't climbed mountains in a while. Ever.
Don't tell me it's getting to you.
I was a knife for 2 months. Let's just not worry about that.
Yeah, let's not talk about that right now. Well, it looks like our suspicions were right on the money. The Forge Master is home. And sure enough, you and Naim see the Forge Master, maybe several dozen feet in front of you, inside the forge itself. She is sweating away, drenched in it actually, and pounding. You hear the noise before you see her clang, 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 pounding away on an anvil. She is beating the blade of a white-hot great axe into shape with an equally large hammer. And up here, completely abandoned, right? Most of the people are at the base of this mountain, merchant stalls, fireworks going off, but up here, no one's working. People are celebrating. She's the only one doing labor, so it's abandoned, save for her and her work. and it's dimly lit. Only the sparks flying off the hammer and the blade of the axe kind of light up her face, and the dull glow from the diamond furnace, and the paltry light streaming down from mist-swaddled stars. Otherwise, there's no illumination. And something just about the scene feels off to you.
Zion takes point. He steps forward, looking at what was a forge that he beheld in wonder when he was here, well, in the City of Mist, but still, it was beautiful then, it's beautiful now, but there's a sour feeling, not from the last time that he was here. In fact, the memory of hearing all of the things that Ser said to him kind of pushes itself uninvited to the forefront of his mind, but even that feels warm, kind. There's something he doesn't like that we're alone up here. And I think he just kind of puts himself in front of Naim as they walk, just an instinct. As he walks forward, friendly, not, hunterly, but he walks to the entrance of the forge and raises a hand. Forge Master.
Clang, clang, clang. You see her huge exposed back muscles rippling with exertion and effort. You see those white tufted tiger-like ears on top of her head not swivel in the direction of your voice at all. Either she hasn't heard you or she's just completely ignoring you. She continues to work.
He looks back at Naim.
Clang, clang, clang. Naim looks at you, clears his throat, steps forward, gives you a look like, I can handle myself. Like, I appreciate the gesture, Naim, but I can handle myself. And raises their voice. Forge Master. Clang! Clang! No response. I am Naim Zaran. I am a cultivator from Yalan. This is my companion, Zion. I believe the two of you may have met, if only briefly. I am here from the cradle to partake in the celebration of the naming of virtue tonight. And my companion and I were just wondering if we could ask you a few questions. Clang, clang, clang. Naim lets out like a little breath and almost looks like he's about to say something again, but then the Forge Master responds. Clang. The coronation. Clang. The virtue. Clang. What a load of bullshit. Clang.
Zion steps forward, knowingly getting into the forge. I thought you would be interested to hear Luha's down there. Quite celebrated. And you seemed absent in all that.
And why wouldn't I? I can't wait for all the lies to evaporate like morning mist in the face of the rising sun of truth. And Zion, as she says that, her words feel familiar. The intention behind them is exactly the same as the intentions you sensed in Xiao Cheng's nightmare. The intentions of the assassin.
Zion can feel his heart suddenly thundering in his ears. And he steps very close to Naim and puts his hand out, trying to push both of them back.
Naim can instantly sense that something is wrong. Doesn't understand the intention the same way because wasn't there to see the nightmare, but reads your body language instantly. Steps back a little, but you can feel the magic starting to tense around Naim. Not to strike, not to accuse yet, but just getting ready in case.
And like the magic, Zynon is pulling his fingers tight, ready to move quickly. We're curious what you were working on so intently while everyone else was celebrating.
I'm a blacksmith. I work on the same thing every day. Weapons. Always have. Always will. Even down there in the cradle, when I was a mortal, I made weapons. Swords, spears, axes, hammers, you name it, I've made it. But you know what? The one thing that's remained true, no matter the customer, no matter the forge, no matter the era.
No.
It's that a weapon's only purpose is to kill. Clang!
Zynon is going to try. Ooh. And I think if there's a way to quietly summon the Oracle.
You're gonna risk it? Because you can risk it if you want. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be a tempt fate. Literally.
You know what? No. He's gonna try something else.
Okay.
Zynon thinks, I'm gonna summon the Oracle, and then remembers that every single time the Oracle pops up, they go, oh, hello. And that's just not, that's not subtle. And so Zynon closes his eyes. And he goes deep inside of that deep font, that stabbing blade, that beautiful ocean of grief. And through the ghosts that sit in his soul, he would like to try and send a message to Nova.
So you're okay. You're trying to reach Nova in a way you've never been able to do before without the Oracle, but by going through the ghosts.
Yes.
Okay, that's gonna be a channel your power move. So what tags are you invoking?
Okay, so we're going to Connie, I'd like to burn messages from the beyond, from beyond. A tag I specifically took to communicate through the ghost realm.
You're not taking any risks here. This is the first time we've burnt a power tag on purpose. So when you burn a power tag to boost a move you're making, treat the outcome as a 10+. Okay. So on a 10+, the effect is exactly as intended. What is the message you would try to send to Strike Team Nova?
With all of the spark and fury and the absolute terror that Zynon feels in the presence of gods that he is just a mortal in front of, he sends to Lumira and Zir, White Forge, now.
Okay. I'm gonna resolve that in a second. As you've been digging down into the pit of your soul, into that well of grief, the Forge Master has not stopped talking. She's continued to speak even as her hammer falls down and clangs against the steel.
We've forgotten that a weapon's only purpose is to kill. We've forgotten the truth of who we are. It's not a bad thing. Lying about it, now that's the bad thing. Pretending that we're better than the violence we crave, now that's true denial.
Every weapon,
But everything.
not
Go
every
ahead.
weapon has to be used As a hunter, you can just use it to protect.
You know how many times I've heard that? Infinite times, infinite excuses from infinite voices. But a weapon's only purpose is to kill. Even when you're defending someone, you're killing someone else. You're hurting them, blood for blood. But again, that's not a bad thing. Pretending that it's anything but that. Now that's the true farce. But everything is about to change. The masks are cracking. The doors are opening, whether people want them to or not. This mist is lifting. We will be forced to face our truth. And the ones who survive will be the ones who realize that at the core of every mortal, every god, every demon is the selfish instinct to survive and consume.
Lumira, you have returned to the courtyard, arm in arm with Drooling, and you're feeling flushed, you're feeling relaxed, you're feeling relieved, you're feeling good. And when you step back into this courtyard, you see Sayir stepping away from Cove and Amaru, scanning the crowd. Seeing you, I think the two of you lock eyes across this moment as you notice each other. Zaina's message hasn't hit yet. I'll let you know when it does.
Lumira will turn to Zerling. Her hand was on the small of her back. That's my friend. Give me a second, okay?
Of course. Take all the time you need.
And Lumira will gently, tap the back of her back for a second as she walks over to Sayir. Why do you have that look on your face?
Sayir meets you as you close the distance between the both of us. And Sayir, looking like a fucking hurricane, looks at you and says, I can't find the old man. Apparently he's with Zynon, and to quote Cove, they might be hate fucking in a temple.
Well, I don't
I
want to
know.
break that up. I don't want to get in the middle of that.
Well, neither do I, but there's only a potential assassination about to happen tonight.
Fair enough. You do it. I've seen enough naked people for today.
The one?
Yeah.
He chuckles when he says that.
And Lumira's like, yeah, the one. The one.
It was quite a shock. And I think as he's looking in the direction where he assumes the temple that Cove gestured to was, he steps forward for a moment, but then slinks back. You doing all right? I know Hendrix is here, and Phoenix is here.
Phoenix isn't as much of a problem anymore as Hendrix is, but I've dealt with worse.
Good. Will you let me know if they try anything?
Neither of them are ridiculous enough to try anything.
Good. Let it stay that way.
Remind them.
Lumira, as you're speaking with Sayir, you see kind of in that same shadow of the hawthorn tree, you see Yinghe kind of leaning there and looking at you with those bright silver eyes, looking between you and Sayir. And the memory of the conversation you had with you at the tavern kind of flashes past your eyes, and then they see you see them, and they quickly slink back into the shadows.
I just don't know why the old man can't just tell us. Why does he have to hide everything behind a fucking door and just scamper off like that?
I'm sorry, do you want us all to announce when we're going off to fuck someone? So you're better in the know?
No, I just...
Because if that's the case, that's where I just came from. So, does that make you feel better?
Sayer's frozen for a moment. Oh,
I didn't mean it like that, Sayer. I didn't.
No,
I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad that you're all right.
I think King He
That's-
likes you.
What? What does Yinka have to do with any of this?
She's worried about you. We're all worried. How are
And
you?
that's when the two of you hear Zainan's voice ringing in your heads, interrupting what could have been a moment, could have been a conversation. But even as the first few words of Zainan's ashes, a message starts trickling into your consciousness, another sound interrupts it as well, kind of mixing in with Zainan's warning. The assembly drum. It starts to pound. Zainan, the assembly drum has begun to sound. It echoes across the city of heaven like peals of thunder beating against the skin of the heavens, and finally, at last, Xuejiang stops working on the axe. She lowers her hammer as dawn starts to crest the horizon and turns to look at you and at Naim. And she says, casually, as though remarking on the weather,
You didn't think I was going to be the one to kill the Emperor myself. Now did you?
and we're gonna end the session there. So thank you everyone so much for tuning into this episode of the Chaos Protocol. What a break into the final act. I've been your game master and creative producer, Connie Chong. My pronouns are they, he, and she. Find me across the internet at by Connie Chong, BYCONNIECHANG. I'm gonna pass things along to Sam.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Star. You can follow me all across the internet at Lust for Life X. I use she, they, and the occasional they pronouns. And tonight I have had the lovely pleasure of being Lumira yet again. Holy hell. I don't even know what else to say after that outside of an affectionate fuck you, Connie. Kai?
Help. Hi everyone, I'm Kai. I use he, they, and she pronouns. You can find me everywhere as a Stellum Landress or right here freaking out. Hey, I've had a great time playing Mr. Zan and Esh, who is not off hate fucking in a temple, but is in fact absolutely fucking terrified. Ha 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 ha. Hey, Val, how you doing?
Hi everyone, I'm Valiant Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns. You can find me all around the internet at Valiant Dorian or at Also Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure hunt that I just set you on. And tonight the distinct pleasure of playing Sayer. Actually, Sayer uses he, they pronouns. Connie, take us home while we process all of that, I guess.
It's me, Connie, taking you home while you process all of that, you guess. I really wanted Zainan to try to summon the Oracle because it would have been so fucking hilarious in the middle of that tense conversation. But I guess you'll hear more about it during our Vision Debrief if you're a patron. So thank you all so much for tuning in. We will be back next week. That's going to be April 20th. Oh my god, 420? Oh my god, 420?
I'm already on a mountain. I'm high on a mountain.
Yes, everyone should join Zainan up high on that high mountain. I'm tired. Love you all so much. We'll see you on 4:20, 8 p.m. US Eastern Time, right here on Twitch at Transplanar RPG and YouTube at Transplanar RPG, or my TikTok at by Connie Chong, BYCONNICHANG. And we love you all so much. Join the Discord to keep the conversation going, especially if you're new here, and join our Patreon to support the art we make. That is the #1 way to support us and help us keep this show going. Shpijo, Bijo.